everybody, it's Kamal Fernandez from Kamal Fernandez Dog Training with another one of my latest series of interviews with people that in the dog world that I respect and hold in great reverence for. And the person across from me on the screen is somebody that is synonymous with greatness and excellence in all dog sports. And the reason I've done these interviews with people is to give people some inspiration about other people's journeys into dog sports, and also online training, which we're gonna talk about later on with the absolutely amazingly talented and great Mary Ray, who's probably achieved more in any dog sport than probably most people have in their whole career. It's absolutely pleasure to talk to you, Mary. Thank you very, very much for your time. How are you keeping?
Thanks. Oh, I'm all right. A bit bored.
Are you?
With lockdown. Mm-hmm.
What have you been up to then in the lockdown and what have you? How have you been keeping yourself busy then?
Well, obviously, I started with that online group.
Yeah.
That was because I was bored. And apart from that, I've been painting things.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah. With friendship paint.
Oh my God! Are you any good with things like that, then, Mary?
No, I'm not artistic, but that friendship paint is easy to use. So I've painted picture frames and units and.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, you'll probably have them on eBay. Everybody wanting to buy Mary Ray's goods. So tell us a little bit about your so obviously everybody knows that Mary has excelled in every dog sport that she's ever laid her hand on. Obedience, she's made up multiple obedience champions. She's won Crufts countless times, more times than I've had hot dinners. She's competed at the World Cup. I gotta get this right. Agility, heel work to music, fly ball. Have you ever done working trials, Mary?
Oh, I just got CDX on one dog.
Oh, just got CDX on one dog, just as you do.
When I said I was going out tracking and that today, he said, "Oh my God, not another sport," and they weren't very happy about it. So
you packed it in.
Yeah.
Oh really? Are you thinking about doing it again? Are you?
No, I wouldn't be able to get round to tracking.
So just tell us a little bit about your background then. So I know that you grew up in a very large family. Was that a family of dog lovers and people that had dogs?
No, it was just me. I used to walk everybody's dogs in the village,
really?
Wanting one of my own. So probably from about 6, 7, I kept on and on. I wanted a dog. And then my mum gave in and let me have one when I was 10.
Right. What was that then?
I was a lurcher because my brother's whippet had got out on the street,
right,
obviously in season,
yeah,
and had a litter. And then he left his wife and moved in at Christmas.
Right.
With the bitch and some pups, and that's when my mum said I could have one.
So it was your brother's Randy Whippet that started this all off, then, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So was it?
Well, in them days they used to roam. You see.
Yeah, we did. We used to let them out your front door. That's what we did with dogs, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So and did you do any dog? Did you do training with her then? Was it her or him?
No, it was a him. No, because I didn't even know dog training existed, really. Right, but he came everywhere with me. He met me from school every day. My mum used to let him out, and he used to, run to the school. He'd be a tiny dot in the distance if I'd left the school already, and he'd come out flat out gallop and jump in my arms. But if he got to the school before school was finished, he'd jump through the windows looking for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was a fabulous dog.
What was his name?
Yeah. Pepsi.
Because you've always had you've had several lurchers, haven't you, over the years?
Yeah, 4.
Ah, have you? Yeah. What is it because of because of him that you like the breed?
Oh yeah. I do love them.
Yeah.
They're lazy, but he wasn't very lazy, mind you, because I think he was a straight whippet collie cross,
Right.
But I've had greyhound, deerhound, and they're pretty easy to live with, and then they like a Zoomy and a Blast, and
they're not high maintenance. So what dog did you actually start with in getting into training then? Who was the first dog?
Well, then when me and Dave got married, I went and got a dog, and that was a lurcher, and she was the greyhound deerhound, and she was a bit sort of dangerous, because if I was exercising her in the small park, she would run out the park to people.
Right.
And then I heard that there was a Rugby Dog Training Club just round the corner from me.
Right.
So I took her there. Yeah, and I sat there and watched the training, and I was gobsmacked, you know, when I sat there and watched the competition class.
Really?
And I thought, oh, I would love to do that.
Wow.
And I never left that club from 7 o'clock till 10 o'clock every week.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And because you're still, are you the chairman or the one of the head trainers there, aren't you, still to this day?
Yeah, I'm still head trainer of the club on a Thursday night, because obviously I used to teach agility and that as well, but I'll give that up, so just the club on a Thursday.
And how many years is that then, Mary?
Well, it was in 78.
Wow.
So,
a few.
Yeah.
A few years. So when you went to rugby, who was the people that were there then that inspired you then?
Well, our head trainer was Ted Pallow. I think he'd been trained, well, he had. He came from Solihull and been trained by Sandon Moss.
Right.
And I always thought Ted was advanced for the time.
Really?
You know, yes. Yeah. But he was an awkward bloke, and he would tell you what you shouldn't be doing, and he'd tell you what you should be doing, but he didn't tell you how to do it.
Right.
You know? So you had to think for yourself, really, as well.
I was going to say, because that's the thing that definitely comes across. You have such a natural ability to train dogs. Where does that stem from? Is that just you've always had an affinity with animals, or was it because you had to work it out for yourself?
No, I think I always had an affinity with animals.
Really?
You know, because then I got myself up the local farm, which is now where, well, it's not local, I used to have to walk there all the time, but it's where Rugby Dog Training Club have got our barn now.
Oh,
so
wow.
I went there from when I was 12 and rode the ponies there.
Wow.
Yeah.
God,
but I've never really had proper lessons, you see. Even with the ponies, and I went on to buy my own, I never had a lesson, so I had to, in a way, learn it naturally.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that how you find you learn best then, Mary? Just figuring it out a little bit yourself?
Well, obviously I get help from other people, but yeah, I tend to be able to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
I can't do much in life apart from...
I have to just let people into... I called Mary yesterday on the video call, and both of us looked at state. My hair was up here, Mary's was out there, and she said, but I asked her about doing this, and I think her words were a little bit more colourful about the use of technology, and I did say, she's quite good with technology, she's forever posting stuff, and she said, no, the iPad does that for her, so, but she's managed to do all right. Can you when you look back at it now, Mary, you think, from that day of walk with that dog Pepsi, you've had an absolutely amazing career. It's phenomenal, isn't it? All the things that you've done. Did you ever foresee that your career would be big and this fast? I mean, you've done like all dog sports. You've been on television. What is the thing? Can you even begin to imagine how big it would have been?
Absolutely no way, because I'd never even left our village. I don't think. Really? I went to dog club. So wow. I was really nervous about doing things because of that, you know. I mean, I've left school 50 years ago because I was the youngest in the class, so I left school at 14. Mm-hmm. Wow. I had to wait a month. Yeah, I had to wait a month before I could start work till I was 15. And so, yeah, you're right. I never had an education as such. And so... Yes, I was always a really nervous, when I travelled abroad, I was nervous even when I got quite used to it. So I could never imagine that I've achieved what I've achieved. No.
Oh, that's amazing. So, because I don't know whether people know, you're from quite a big family. Is it 10 you've got, 10 siblings?
Yeah, I'm going to be 11, yeah.
Yeah, 11. And where are you in the order of ages?
I'm 10th.
10. Oh, are you?
Yeah, and then now Pauline's the last
11th,
one.
Is it? Yeah, and obviously Pauline lives with you. Pauline's great. We love Pauline. She's great. So God, Mike, so you were the last to bar one of 10. God, that must have made you quite a determined character to get your voice heard in the house, then.
Well, I was lucky in a way because it's a bit like me with dogs now. When you've had you've got a pack and you've had them for years, you sort of let them get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Our mum was like that by the time she got to 10th and 11th, right? So I didn't have to do you know, even washing up and drying up, because she'd say she could do it faster herself. So really, by the time it came to me and our Pauline, we could do what we liked when we were kids. So I was never in the house. Yeah. What was the question?
I don't know. I'm just saying about how many siblings you've got.
But to get my voice heard, they were all older than me, really, anyway.
Yeah.
But we had the freedom when we were kids to do what we like.
Wow. And how many of your siblings are still alive now, then?
Well, I've lost 3 brothers.
Right.
And a sister.
Wow.
But my oldest sister is 86.
Wow.
Yeah, there's 25 years between Pauline and Kath.
My gosh, wow.
In fact, Kath, her son, is older than our Pauline.
Wow.
So Pauline's nephew is older than her.
Yeah, and because they're dotted all across the world, aren't they, your siblings?
Yeah, Kath and Margaret are in Canada.
Yeah, I remember that from the past. So in terms of your dogs, how many dogs have you got now?
I've got 7.
7, and so just who you've got: Lyric, Frankie, Yoko, the mini Min Pin. Who else have you got?
I've got Vinny the Chihuahua.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And then I've got Cruz.
Yes.
He's the oldest now at 8. I've never had such a young pack, really.
Yeah.
And then I've got who else have I got?
Kiki.
Oh, I've got Kiki the youngest. Yeah. Kiki, Cruz, Frankie, Quiz.
Quiz, of course, yeah, Quiz.
Say Quiz. Quiz is the second youngest. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I've lost track there. Yeah.
I think that's so. And then Pauline's got Lynx, obviously.
Oh, of course, yeah. And so how, in terms of, a lot of people ask me about how they manage about multi-dog house. You've had more than 2 dogs for probably most of your adult life, would you say?
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah.
And how do you manage with them in the house? How do you do things like bringing a new dog into your home? How do you do that sort of things, like from Mary Ray's perspective?
Well, I'm very lucky that I usually have, I have had really good temperament dogs. Mm-hmm. When I bring a pup in, I introduce, like with Kiki, I introduce to the small dogs first, so they're not intimidated. I go in the garden, and the garden's got, my puppy pen fencing around it. So the big dogs are then on the outside, and the puppy's on the lawn, and it can go up to the fence and sniff, and then I let them in sort of one at a time. But
and all your dogs are good with puppies in general?
They're all good with puppies. I would have no fear of a puppy getting bitten.
Oh, fantastic.
No, never, no.
Have you ever had issues with dogs in the house in the past, then, that you've had to overcome?
Only when I rehomed one, and she did cause me problem after problem after problem, because because she did my job, and in other words, she tried to keep the pack in order all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and she ruined their lives, if you like, because although she didn't bite them, she never left them alone.
Really?
She brought Cruz up as a youngster. She was always putting him down on the floor. He'd do the old dying fly in front of her, and that wasn't good enough. She wouldn't come off him then. She'd still stand over him. Really? So that caused me lots of
But you got her, did you say you got her when she was older, Mary?
Yeah, I rehomed her, so yes. And now, since I've lost Levi, Levi was like the fun police.
Really?
But he hadn't got a nasty bone in him that way, but he would stop,
them playing.
Some behaviours. Yeah, or if they were playing too much, and he would stop that. So I do miss him. Miss Levi.
Really? What? Because he had that quietness about him, that quiet strength about him.
Yeah, and now they're a little bit mixed up.
Oh, really?
Because Cruz growls, but he don't really mean it.
Yeah.
So, I would say I've missed Levi.
Bless his heart.
Because I'm too lazy to do the job.
That's the thing that you've always said is you're a lazy trainer.
I am.
Yeah. So how does that work out then? So what would be a day of Mary Ray then in terms of training her dogs? I take it because you obviously have access to the barn with rugby. So how often would you train your dogs? What would you be doing with them? I suspect people imagine that you're training morning, noon, and night, which is probably not the case at all.
No, not the case at all.
Really.
Well, when I have a pup, I do train every day, something every day, most days anyway. And so I think if you lay them foundations in, I try and do, even if I don't do it properly, obviously, or even carry it on, I do something just so it's in there ready for when I want to bring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've always gone training to the barn on a Tuesday afternoon, a group of us, you know. So then I'd run through the exercises. Thursday night was club night, and so although I take classes, I go in one of the classes as well, and it depends which dog I took, you know, for to do that.
Yep.
And if I wasn't training a class, then the club would have still a biggish area left with a lot of people about, and so that was great for distractions. I'd work something then. And of course we had shows, didn't we, every weekend? So if you get to a show on a Friday, you do a bit of training for something to do, and then you're actually working the dogs every Saturday and every Sunday. So that's like training, isn't it? Even if you're warming them up outside the ring. So I think that's what I've missed, obviously, with this year, with having no competitions. And also, it is hard to get motivated to train.
Really?
Because you have, well, it is for me, because, you know, I've done them shows for 40 years.
So that's a really interesting point, because I think sometimes, certainly, one of the comments that people make about COVID and is... oh, there's more to life than dog shows. And I absolutely respect people's opinion when they say that. But I think the thing that people forget is, for a lot of people, like yourself and like myself, it's been in our lives for more time than it hasn't been in our life. Like you said, for 40 years, you've gone to a dog show for most of the year, for certainly, you know, from March through to October. And then in your agility days, there would have been Olympia, there would have been things in the winter. So it's been a huge part of your life. So how has it been when that has been, and what advice can you offer to people like in a similar situation that have, you know, it's a huge part of who you are, isn't it? How has that affected you then as an individual?
Well, that's what I think, you know, because I am a bit lazy. And luckily we had that nice weather, didn't we, to start with in lockdown. So I was out in the garden then doing things with the dogs, but just playing, you know, doing all different things. And I'd make some videos just to stick on my timeline for something to do. And then as it's gone on, I think I've got lazier, to be honest. Really? Well, obviously I exercise them every day. But if I went back a few years where I was on the go from morning till night, I'd be pulling my hair out by now. You know, if I was at that age and having to be what we've had to be this year would have really done my head in. So I'm not too bad, but you know, it has been terrible, because as you say, it's been my life for 40 years, and I'm just glad that I haven't got that sort of energy and want. So it would have been really even much harder.
So and have you found your struggle for you, or have you been able to keep yourself, even in terms of your own personal well-being, and obviously, you know, Pauline lives with you, and obviously Dave's there. Has it affected, I mean, obviously you said your siblings, one of them is older. Has it affected you being able to see them and things like that?
Yeah, I've hardly ever seen any siblings since it's gone on, because you know, I'd meet other sisters for a meal out, but to be honest, I haven't gone for a meal out.
Really?
No, I haven't. Even when lockdown was lifted, I still thought it's not really worth going for a meal out.
And risking it.
I just went back to my dog training, to meeting the group of 6 of us that would train. And we did that then not only on a Tuesday, but on a Sunday as well. And of course now that's come to
a halt.
That's come to a halt.
So I mean, so what is your personal opinion about, you know, obviously you've also been involved with obedience and agility in terms of the back end, so running dog shows and in the kennel club. How do you foresee us as dog sports in general moving forward? Do you actually think that we're going to get back to normalcy? What do you think about it then?
Well, I am a bit worried about obedience, you know, because people having to have this year off, and, you know, a lot of our people who run the obedience shows are, you know, in the vulnerable category and a bit older, and it's whether now, you know, because some of them don't even work a dog, they give back in running shows, so it's whether that they want to, you know, start again. So I am worried for obedience. I wouldn't be worried for agility.
No, agility seems to be a different mindset, really. They seem to be a lot more, trying to find ways and creative ways of moving it forward. I think sometimes obedience can be a little bit, we can be, to be truthful, a bit stuck in our old ways, can't we? Whereas agility seems to be thinking of different ways of running shows and being a bit more creative with it. And I think because agility is literally across the world, isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely massive.
Yeah.
So what, from your perspective, what do you, obviously you're involved heavily with rugby, have you guys had any thoughts about what you were going to do, if at all, how you're going to manage it, whether you will, or is it all up in the air at the moment and uncertain?
Well, it's still up in the air.
Yeah.
A bit. I was going to wait till January, and I asked the show printer
Yeah.
if he would wait till January.
Yeah.
And then, well, obviously I've got to get the judges, because I asked them when the show was cancelled this year.
Yeah.
If they would judge next year, but obviously I would have to confirm all that again.
Yeah.
So I would try and run it, and if it is good news, as is at an awkward time of year, being May,
Yeah.
with entries closing in March,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because in March, everybody will have had to enter, and then we don't know what's going to happen by the time it gets to May.
Yeah.
But with the inoculation, things might change.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So I'm hoping that
Yeah.
things will get going again.
Yeah,
And that
absolutely.
we'll all have to look in and help.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think everybody has to just pull together really and try to, make amendments. Think of being respectful. I think even as a sport, even looking at structuring things differently, etc. If they just had, listed shows or smaller shows where you can have, X amount of people. I think there's ways and means around it. It's just about being creative. So what you've talked about motivation and you talked about your own motivation. In normal circumstances, what really motivates you to keep doing what you do after all these years? Because, you've had so much success in so many sports. Do you still get the buzz that you did, and does it still give you that fire in your belly to want to, go out there and compete again and win again and be successful again?
Yeah, I've always kept that, for sure.
Really?
Yeah, because I've often put that first. When I could have been doing other things, maybe.
Yeah.
I go, oh, no, I can't do that. I'll miss that show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so, and it's another dog, isn't it, as well?
Mm-hmm.
Each dog you get. And as I say, because I've been doing it for so long,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Are you naturally a competitive person, Mary?
Yeah, I suppose I am,
you?
really.
Are you?
Yeah.
We'd have to ask Pauline and Dave.
Pardon?
We'd have to ask Pauline and Dave if you're competitive. That's what it is.
Yeah, I am. I am competitive.
So when you go into the ring, what goes through your mind when you about to go in the ring? Say, or not even the ring. Say, when you did your best in show demonstrations. Routines. Sorry, that's the right word. Routines. What would be going through your head? Would you be getting nervous? Would you be getting butterflies? What would be going through your head? And how would you then compose yourself to deal with that?
Well, for any competing, for ordinary competing at shows, I don't really get nervous, to be honest. But of course, I used to get nervous years ago, and it doesn't do your dog any favours, does it?
Yeah.
So I sort of blanked that off.
Right.
And I got so that I'm not really nervous to go in the obedience ring.
Yeah.
In agility, I think the adrenaline used to.
Right.
There was a buzz before because you had to run, I think.
Yeah.
That. So, but then when I come to do something like the routine at Crufts or the obedience at Crufts, because I would still be nervous at Crufts.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why, and I would be nervous before I went in the ring for the obedience, and I would be nervous all the way round, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really conquer that. It's like when I was at Olympia in agility for 20 years, I was still nervous every time.
Wow.
And you had to hear that music.
Really?
I'd have to go to the loo. Anyway, and then for my best in show routine, I would be nervous, waiting and getting ready, I would be nervous, and then I'd go to the collecting ring, and then I would just think, well, you can't afford to forget where you are in the routine, that's for sure. So I would just think, well, this is it now, and was never really nervous during the routine.
Wow.
Because I used to just breathe, take deep breaths, and think, well, this is it, and out I go. Because I think I did one once in the daytime, you know, in the arena at Crufts, and I forgot the routine.
Wow.
You know, and I had to blag it a bit, and my mind went a bit blank, and I thought, I can't afford for that to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm good at calming myself down, or I was good at calming myself down to go in for the routine.
So did you ever have to do any? Was that just you learnt to get better at it, or did you go?
Yes.
Did you get help? Oh, it's just practice.
Yeah, just practice. Yeah, I never got any help.
Yeah. So you just got better at competing, and because you said you're naturally not you're a nervous person, or you were nervous was one of the things.
Yeah, I'm not confident in some
not
things,
confident,
no.
Really. Yeah.
No, but yeah, with the competing, I think I had dogs that if I was nervous, they were nervous.
Right.
You know, you remember my Kizzy.
Yeah.
And she used to, like when I went into scent, if I was in the lead, say in a ticket, she would shake because I was nervous.
Really?
But I could go to an open sea where I wasn't doing any good. I think I'm just going to go in there and try a scent. She wouldn't shake because I wasn't nervous. Really? Then I had a dog like Quincy who didn't give a stuff whether I was nervous or not.
Yeah.
So for the dogs that are a bit nervous, well, what have we got to be nervous about anyway?
Yeah.
Really, that's the way I started to look at it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's as good as everybody else. And people get worried that people are talking outside the ring. That doesn't bother me. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I think it's daft for beginners to be bothered about who might be watching. Yeah, because it's just you and your dog, isn't it? So I just got it in my mindset that if I'm more confident,
they'll be more confident.
And my dogs will trust me better.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing about, I think that's a fair point that you say people get very self-conscious about themselves and external factors outside the ring. That's never been something that's ever bothered you, even when you were, say, earlier in your career. Were you self-conscious about what people would say about you, or is that not your personality?
No, I wasn't really. No, because I used to spend half the season doing agility anyway. Yeah. Believe it or not, I never really got to know a lot of obedience people. Well, I never had time anyway to stand and chat, really. Yeah. Until I gave up doing agility, which was nearly 10 years ago now, isn't it? And so, all the shows I've done have been obedience. I've got to know a lot more people in more depth, you know. Yeah. But no, I wasn't even in them days thinking that they were watching me and criticising me. Yeah.
I think that, you know, as somebody that's successful, there's always a trade-off, isn't there? That there's people that are going to say, wow, you're amazing, and there's people that are wanting to throw stones. And I think, you know, that advice of just being single-minded and focusing on your dog and what you've got to do is really, really sound, sage advice. So in terms of your own competing, obviously you've been super successful in multiple dog sports. Is there a particular thing or behaviour or sport or exercise that you love training more than anything else?
That's a bit hard, really.
I've thrown you.
Yeah, you've thrown me.
Not heel work then, Mary.
I don't think that deep.
Really? So not heel work. You don't love heel.
I love heel work.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, there we go. I gave it to you.
Yeah, I do. I love heel work. Yeah. I've always loved heel work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to and you must have an innate eye then, because all your dogs have really good structure. And is that a conscious thing, or did you have a horsey background, Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you understand about structure and how it moves to trotting and because I remember having a conversation with you years ago about was it Chip and how he used to pace, but it's just because you weren't aware of how to teach trotting back then.
No, it was Wiz.
Wiz, that's right. Yeah,
Chip's son Wiz.
Right.
He really paced.
Right.
Yes, and I had a job. Well, once it's established, it's a bit hard to
untrain.
But I knew there was something wrong, you know, and I knew I didn't like his movement.
Right.
And of course, we didn't have much in the way of videos and everything to see them.
Yeah.
And from here, you might not be aware of it, but it was him who definitely taught me to be aware of it.
Really?
And you know that the dog's top line is sort of wobbling from side to side when they're pacing, even if you can't see what their feet are doing.
Yeah.
And that you know that the top line is bouncing slightly when they're trotting. So, yes, it was him that really made me aware of pacing, because he did get lazier and lazier.
Did he?
Yeah, but he was a great agility dog.
Yeah, he was. He won loads in agility, didn't he?
Yeah. So he was. It wasn't because he wasn't made right.
Yeah.
That he paced. It was that
training.
We probably found it more boring and.
Yeah. So, in terms of what do you look for then in a puppy then? What qualities do you look for? Go on. Pretty markings, I bet you're going to tell me.
I do. I go for markings.
Do you?
Yeah, I often pick my pups the day they're born.
Really?
If I've got a choice. Yeah.
Really? That's all it is? Just pretty colours?
Markings. I like traditional markings and colours, yeah. I've always liked colours.
Really?
Yeah.
So is this your first black and white puppy that you've had?
Yeah.
Wow, in how many years? 40 years?
Uh-huh.
You finally got round to having a proper border collie?
A proper one. I thought that her mum might have some tries. I was going to go for a try.
Right.
Yeah.
And how is she? Are you pleased with her, Mary?
I am. Well, I am very pleased with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's a right little character, but she had a bad tummy as a baby.
Right.
And I nearly killed her by giving her chicken. That's the God's
God.
honest truth. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she's so intolerant to chicken. So I'm unlucky because that's my third one, but dog that's been that way. So she would have carried on and eaten chicken, as a treat, because she did like it.
Yeah.
But of course I couldn't give it her.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's because she had a poorly tummy, but she wouldn't train for treats.
Oh, really?
No, not really. And I've always trained for treats, and I tried all different treats, and there was nothing that really floated her boat.
Right.
But chicken would have. So anyway, she ate her meals well, but of course she got the other dogs around as competition, and she would have eaten her kibble as a treat.
Right.
But she crunches everything, even if I dampened it down.
Right.
So not only was she not keen on treats, it's the length of time it took her to eat them.
Yeah. Which, when you want to train and you want to reward quickly, that's a pain in the backside.
And then swallow it straight away. And she would never mug me.
Yeah.
And I'd go for the mugging first and then take the mugging out of them.
Yeah.
But of course she never mugged me.
Yeah.
So but she was always a good player, so at least I had that to fall back on.
Right.
But I couldn't get stuck into how I get stuck into things with treats.
Right.
Yeah. And then it was trial and error. She would like something one day, and I think, I've got that. And then, in treat-wise, and then the next time she'd go, well, I don't want that, and go to walk away.
Wow.
So it was really difficult. Then, about 12 weeks old, I thought I'm going to try her on chicken. Oh, my God, what a big mistake that was.
Oh, bless her.
Yeah, what I had to get up to the next morning.
Oh.
And so I made her ill again. So, but touch wood, since then, I look at everything. And now, somebody said, their dog wouldn't eat. He would eat his food, but he wouldn't eat treats. And it was chocolate buttons that somebody had bought him for Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Wilko's and I saw chocolate buttons. I thought I'd buy them. She bloody loves them. She loves chocolate buttons.
So that's her treat.
That's something I could work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. I suppose what you're saying is finding the thing that the dog really loves, isn't it? And if you're a little bit hindered, if they've got a food intolerance, it really makes it difficult. And you have to think laterally, like you were saying, you've come round to chocolate buttons. Maybe you should get an endorsement on that. Mary Ray says chocolate buttons the way forward.
Yeah, she loves the chocolate buttons. Some of the other dogs go, what are you giving me if I should give them a chocolate button? They go, I ain't having that.
And has she turned a corner now, Mary?
She's turned a corner.
Is she?
She's definitely turned a corner. Yeah.
So so you it's really interesting. You talk about some challenges that you've gone through with her, and that's not something that people probably realise, that somebody like Mary Ray has problems with their dogs just like everybody else does. It's just you obviously be creative about how you overcome them. So what dog really stands out for all your dogs that was really, really challenging? Who has been your most challenging dog to train?
Well, do you mean dogs that I've sort of had to give up with?
No. Any dog that you've had, yeah. Well, unless that's an interesting point. You say, give up with. So, what dog were you thinking in your mind then?
Well,
I was actually thinking of Roxy. I thought Roxy was difficult.
It's a good job you can remember things, isn't it? I can't. Oh, Roxy, yeah, my Belgian Shepherd. She was so challenging, but in a way she wasn't.
Right.
Do you see?
Right.
I mean, some of her weird things came about on exercise. You know, because well, I had 10 then, I think, and I used to exercise them all together.
Yeah.
And that was okay where I lived then. You could just walk out the back gate and go.
Mm-hmm.
But she did some weird things on exercise, like I would turn for home and she wouldn't.
Really?
Yeah. And then she'd swim the river.
Right.
Because I kept my horses down in the field there.
Right.
And I've known her swim the river and go.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. I've known her escape from the garden I had then, but I did obviously make it dog-proof after that. Go down looking for her, stand on the bridge over the river, not a very high bridge, and watch her swimming in the river and get out and sniff. But I was above her, you see. She couldn't get wind of me. And so she was really strange in some of the things she got up to.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'd love something like that again now, because I would get over it in a different way.
Yeah, yeah.
And she didn't like people shouting, you know, so even if a steward said, first position, come in, no, she'd go.
Wow.
So she was a challenge, and I had a job to get her to play. I had to play with her like a dog, get down on all fours and do play bars and everything, or a very long toy at the time. She would play a long toy.
Yeah.
But she was damn rough on my other dogs, I'll tell you.
Really?
Yeah. Because her and Blitz, her younger brother, broke my Dash's leg on the run. Yeah, they snapped his femur on the run.
Wow.
And my Lurcher then was blue, and he was like a whippet, you know.
Yeah,
and
he's a beautiful dog.
But he wouldn't dare run if she was there.
Wow.
So that's how I had to give her something to hold on exercise.
Yeah.
And she was good that way, because even if she, you know, if I hadn't got anything with me for her to hold, she would pick a bit of grass up.
Yeah.
And if she had a bit of grass in her mouth,
she was fine.
Then my Blue would run with her.
Really?
Yeah, because she wouldn't nobble them.
Yeah.
You know?
So who was you said about a dog that you've given up on? Who was the dog, and why was the reason then?
That's Cruz, who's 8 now.
Right.
So his training was fine as a puppy. I would say he hadn't got that edge, you know.
Right.
And then when I went out into competition with him, he won his novices. And then as soon as I went into A, forget it, with no commands.
Really?
He just couldn't cope.
Really?
He couldn't cope with the judge and the steward. He had a bigger problem, though, with dogs. You know?
Really?
Yeah. He sort of fears, but he grumbles.
Right.
But he's
worried by them. Worried by them, yeah.
He's worried by the dogs as well. But I do think that my Rio dog had something to do with that with him as well.
Right.
I do. Because he turned into a grumbler then as well. Like she used to grumble at him.
Right.
So my friend Susie has worked him in rally. Right. You know, because the judge sort of stays in one place.
Yeah.
So he got to rally as 6.
Wow.
As high as he could go. But he always balked at the
the signs, yeah.
Next to the judge.
Right.
Yeah. And she did agility with him. He loved agility.
Really?
Yeah. So if I had still been able to run, I would have done agility, and then he would have perhaps come out of himself better.
Yeah. Do you miss agility, Mary?
Well, I don't now, but I did, obviously, I miss the people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And the only good thing about it at the time was, you know, you have to choose which show you're going to. Are you doing agility or are you doing obedience?
Yeah.
And when I did give it up, I knew I was only going to compete at obedience. So that was nice.
Yeah.
You know,
but because you still, because I know you put a little clip. Was it Lyric? I think she did some jumping and some weaves. Were you not tempted, because she's so fast, isn't she, to have a little go with her?
Yeah, I mean, she's a natural, Lyric is, and I reckon if the right person had her, she would have been, or even if I had been able to do agility, she would have been a dual champion, I reckon.
Wow.
And I dare say you could train her to work at a distance.
Right.
If I put that effort in.
Yeah.
But I can't even remember the courses these days. Honestly, it's true.
I'm sure it'd come flooding back to you. But do you ever look at the especially the way that handling has changed and how it's so much more there's more skill to it now. I mean, since you must see a massive evolution in the sport since when even the days of when dogs always used to work on the left and that was now I mean some of the handling's absolutely amazing. Have you never thought now with the new handling and the different way of training of not having another little dabble at it, or you just feel that that's gone from you now?
Yeah, I just feel that's gone
really
now. Really? Yeah, but I think basically you've got to have a good brain on you to do all that quick movement. Yeah, because not only are the courses, around the back of that, jumping through that tunnel and all that lot. I mean, the handling is amazing, but they're all in lycra, aren't they?
Is that what you're afraid of, Mary, wearing lycra?
Can you imagine me in lycra?
I'm sure many people would like to see you with lycra, Mary.
I don't think they would. No, it would be too hard for me now. But yes, it is amazing. It's a proper sport, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, the way it's developed is just absolutely amazing,
Yeah, the handling systems.
Yeah, and they're so, like you say, they're so athletic. The dogs are like athletes in themselves.
Yes.
It's amazing to watch. It's come on in, every year, even the little time that I've done it, I'm thinking, oh my God, everything's moving so fast. It's fantastic, isn't it? So in comparison, in contrast then, obedience has largely stayed very much how it always has in a lot of ways. What's your thoughts on that and feelings about that? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do you think the sport has space to evolve?
Yeah, I know. It's hard to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you try and change anything by bringing different exercises in, then nobody wants that.
Yeah.
It is hard to change. The only good thing about it is, I suppose, is that all the dogs are sort of motivated, aren't they?
Yeah, they're much
in a
more.
way. You don't see dogs lagging and everything like when I first started.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you still enjoy obedience as much as what you did, Mary?
Yeah.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah. And you're not tempted to have a go at another sport then? Any other dog sports like IGP or working trials or something like that?
No, that'd be too hard. I could do hoopers, maybe. Now that's what I could train Lyric to do, hoopers centre. No, man trailing.
Yeah.
That might be good if I could follow at a pace. Yeah.
So what? So go on. Sorry, interrupting you.
Well, I like watching other sports.
Do you?
But, yeah.
You just enjoy dog training full stop because you've done so many different things, haven't you?
Well, I've done a few different things, but I haven't done as much as some people, no doubt.
Well, I don't think you've done bad, Mary. So in terms of the other thing that people probably don't know about you is how many different breeds of dogs you've owned in your time. So you've obviously had your Border Collies, you've had your Turf, your Belgian Shepherd, you've had Shelties,
two Belgian Shepherds,
Chihuahuas, the Lurchers, a Papillon. Who else am I? Yeah, Woody. Who else am I? What else breeds have you had? Oh, the Min Pin. The Min Pin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what's your next? What breed of dog would you really like to have now then?
I can't have any more.
Oh, bloody rubbish! Tell Dave to shut up.
It isn't even him. Oh my God! I'm thinking when Kiki's 15, I'll be 80.
So you planning on snuffing it? Are you, Mary?
Well, I could well stuff it. Who's gonna have me dogs?
Mallee, get a Mallee. You want a Mallee, Mary?
I don't want a Mallee. Are they all right living with your collies?
Yeah, they're. But it's funny enough, the things that you were saying about Roxy, she would my jungle would want to do that, but I just put a ball in her mouth and she's absolutely fine, and she's really really biddable and very very sweet. But it's that prey drive, they want to chase things, but as long as she's great with my other dogs though. She's absolutely brilliant, but she's not.
Yeah, you've got to manage it.
Yeah, she's not that type of dog that would look for trouble. She's not she's not strong in that sense with the other dogs. She's very much like happy to be, you know, middle of the pack. She's not, you know, she doesn't want confrontation. But the thing that she does when she gets excited is she would want to grab or barge the other dogs. But to be truthful, it's easy to manage. I just put a ball in her collar, and she just plays with that, and she's not a problem. But they're a breed you'd probably really like to train because she's really, really smart. She's the smartest one I've had.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Train them and then give them back. Because there's a lot of breeds I would like to train.
Really?
But yeah. Because like you say, a Mallee, and I've always fancied a German Shepherd, but it'd have to be made right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And sound.
Yeah.
And small. I'd rather have small.
Yeah.
And then I like some of the bull breeds, I must admit.
Really?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I do.
But you've never taken the step to have one then?
No.
Is that Dave? Because Dave doesn't like them, or you?
No, I think it's just. Dave realising, he's gonna get. No, I think Dave would have been all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think some of. Well, it's a bit scary to take on someone you live like I do, where all the dogs just live in the house with you. Yeah, that's for sure.
So just on the note of Dave, I'm sure people will know, he's been such a driving force behind everything that you've done, really, isn't he? He's such a supportive entity in your life and your relationship. And is he the person that really was he the person that was at the forefront of things like, you know, you did your book and you did your videos and, you know, all the things. Is he the person that's or is it you? Or a bit of both?
No, it's not me, it's outsiders.
Really?
No, because Dave has always done the organisation of things, you know, been happy just to organise. And so he was like on the agility club right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And he was treasurer and he was on the committee, and you know, they brought in all the rules for agility at that time with John Gilbert and Peter Lewis.
Yeah.
So it was Peter Lewis who started me to do a video.
Really?
Yeah. And then it was Hamlin Books that approached me, not, you know.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I said, I can't write a book.
Really?
So they had to give me a ghostwriter.
Wow.
And, so no, he hasn't pushed me in any way, but he's always been there to organise. And I always think people should appreciate people who don't want to work dogs, just organise things for them, you know.
Yeah, because
he's organised everything for rugby club, for the agility club, and then Olympia, and then people still get on to people like that, you know, or are jealous of people like that. And I think that's amazing because if somebody wants to organise something, let them get on with it.
Yeah. And obviously he's very good at it. He's never ever worked a dog, Mary. Didn't he run an agility?
Well, he
Don't
used
laugh.
to. Oh no, he would make quite a good trap dog trainer actually,
Really?
and because he talks in that baby voice to them, and always has, and all the dogs love him. You know, they go and sit on his lap.
Yeah.
He used to run Sasha in agility.
Yeah.
And then that was our big lurcher, and then he got, at the time, invited to Olympia to be the fun dog.
Really?
Because she was a clown.
Right.
Yeah. So, of course, all the proper handlers really frowned on a fun dog being in the competition.
Yeah.
But it's just something for them to show on television. It was different to a collie at the time.
Absolutely. So does do you think does he feel as much whenever you do well, is he as involved and connected to the whole, if you won a ticket or when you've won crafts, does he consider it as, I mean, he must be part of that process as well?
Is he?
Mary, don't be like that.
I suppose he is.
Yeah. Does he not get excited for you then?
I don't think so.
Really? What, when you win crafts?
He comes up and goes, well done. But he probably does, don't he?
Yeah, exactly. I bloody hope so, after all these years.
I should think he does.
Oh, yeah. But on a final note is, you obviously, there's loads of things. You've written a book, you've done your videos, and now you're venturing into doing an online group, which is Path. No, hang on. Yeah, I know it's similar. I can remember it's similar to my book name. Just to
Performance.
Pathway to Performance.
Pathway to Performance, Mary's Way.
Mary's Way, and that covers. Is it the first year of Kiki's life?
It's for 6 months.
6 months.
So it goes to the end of January.
And how's it been going? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it, and actually, because I said I would only put short videos on.
Yeah.
Of Kiki's progress, and then obviously the finished things with the other dogs. Because I thought I don't want to just watch a couple of minutes every day of Kiki, so I'll do things with the other dogs and put the finished exercises on. But it does take me more time than I ever thought it would.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it, and because it's took me more time, that has taken up the time where I would have been even more bored in lockdown.
Yeah. It's been a good use of time. And how have you found I know we joked about your technology and skill. Has it because that's something that I think a lot of people are put off by technology, and obviously you've got comfortable with it. Was it just a case of practicing, and did you get any help with it, or did you just have a go and just worked it out yourself?
No, I got help with setting it up on my Facebook. So it was set up for me.
Yep.
I was dead proud because I set the units up in it.
Right.
Yeah, because there's 4 units on it.
Good.
And I just went to YouTube and watched.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, what I did was I copied what she was doing. I watched it on the phone and did it on the iPad at the same time, so I didn't have to write anything down or remember it.
Yeah.
So I was right proud of myself for setting units up, believe it or not.
Yeah, good for you.
Then, what?
Good for you.
Yeah. And then I obviously I have made videos like you said, just to film to go on my timeline and things, and then take them to an editor and put music on or whatever like that. So I knew how to do that, and that's what I do. But the only thing with filming, which I suppose you know, is if you're outside, wind is a terrible thing on an iPad. It distorts everything.
Yeah.
So I thought it was easier to just put a voiceover on. Yeah. So I usually put a voiceover on. I ain't that confident talking to camera anyway. But as I say, with the noise that's on the background, I mean, even the barn can be really noisy.
Really?
Yeah, because if there's a bit of wind, it does all the louver doors. If it's raining, it bars on the roof. So I can cut that sound down a bit and put a voiceover on. So that's probably what takes me more time as well. Because I say something and thought, oh God, that don't sound right, and I go retake. It still don't sound very good, but never mind, I try.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. Well, I mean, so can people still join that, Mary, or is it shut temporarily?
No, it's never been closed. Okay. I mean, it is a one-off fee now.
Okay.
Because I did when I started it, I let them go monthly if they wanted to. Yeah. But I stopped that after the first month because there's 125 videos on already.
Right.
Oh, and that's the only thing that's worrying. Can I keep coming up with videos till the end of January?
Yeah.
So it's a one-off fee, but they can see everything that's on there.
So if people want to...
It's never closed.
Okay,
Sorry?
And if people want to sign up for that, how do they do that, Mary? Do they contact you or contact Dave?
They can either send an email to Dave on drapehead@aol.com, or if they find Pathway, they can put a member request on.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes I see member requests, but the member requests, they usually send in an email anyway, and then Dave sends them the email with the details on.
Okay. All right. Well, what I will do is what I'll do for everybody watching is I'll put the details of the of Dave's email if you want to sign up for that. And how much is it for the 6 months, Mary?
£100.
£100, really reasonable. £100 for 6 months access to Mary Ray training her youngest dog Kiki. You can get great tips on obedience, agility, heel work to music, trick training, and do domestic stuff, their life stuff as well, like walking, socialising and that sort of stuff. Is that covered as well, Mary? Or is it more just sports stuff?
More sports stuff, really, but, because with lockdown we haven't been...
Yeah.
But obviously I did the baby stuff with Kiki originally. Took her for her first walk and things like that. Yeah.
Perfect. So again, sign up if you want to sign up for Mary Ray's Pathway to Performance. You can contact Dave or Mary, and you can sign up for that £100. And already, as Mary's just said, there's 125 videos already, and it runs until. Did you say the end of January, Mary?
Yeah, and then I was at least keeping it until the end of February. But
fantastic.
What happens after that, I'm not experienced at, if you leave them on forever or not.
Yeah. So in terms of what's your future projects and that have you got planned? Obviously, hopefully we'll have dog shows up and running again. You've got your young dogs, because what's Quiz working now? B and C?
No, he was A because, I went to a show in February and I entered him in A and B because he still needed to win 1A at the end of last season.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm sure he would have been C only by now.
Yeah. Are you pleased with him, Mary?
Yeah, he's a lovely dog. Yeah, he does remind me of Levi a bit.
Does he? Because he's a Levi grandson, isn't he?
Grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's turned into such a really, really lovely dog, isn't he?
He is a nice dog. He's always been what I would consider easy.
Really?
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got Kiki, and then who knows, you might get your Malinois one day, or your bulldog. But no, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Mary, and lots of laughs. Thank you very much for your time. I know that you're probably going to go off now and train your puppy endlessly, a million and one. Or maybe polish those trophies on the top shelf, Mary.
No. I need to sleep now. All
right, well, I'll let you have your nana nap. Take care, Mary. Look after yourself and your family. Give my regards to Pauline and Dave, and look after yourself.
Will do, and you.
All right, take care.
Thanks for interviewing me.
That's all right, my pleasure. See you soon, Mary.
Bye.